Hearing loss is much more common than most people think. 1 in 6 people are affected by some level of hearing loss across the UK. That's 10 million people, making it the second most common disability. Hearing loss and communication issues can affect anyone of any age, and it comes in a wide variety of different forms. Despite being such a common problem for many people, the stigma surrounding hearing loss can result in the condition going untreated.
I think historically the stigma attached to hearing aids was always, you must be old, you're old and daft, and it's certainly not the case. Patients are coming to us a lot younger because they're realising that they do need the help.
If we can, as a society, just encourage people that it's about communication, it's about having healthy relationships, it's about keeping your brain active because your brain's made to hear sounds.
Noise-induced hearing loss is a very common condition among all age groups, but the danger is especially prevalent amongst young people today.
Listen, just have a little bit of a break with your headphones. You seem to constantly have them on your head.
I'll be fine.
Please.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you later. Bye.
Listening to loud music through headphones is one of the biggest dangers to your hearing, and the availability of smartphones and powerful headphones leaves young people at a high risk of doing lifelong damage to their hearing. We only have 5 senses, so we should be protecting our hearing as well as we protect our sight. You wouldn't overexpose your sight by staring at the sun once a day, but you might unknowingly be overexposing your hearing with headphones or listening to loud live music.
So the reason recreational music is an issue nowadays is because you can turn your volume up and we pop our headphones in and we perhaps go for our run and things like that. But if you do that over a long period of time, because it's loud, in your ears you've got hair cells, so they're vibrating, that's what transmits the sound. Eventually they'll get worn out. So early warning signs would be you're struggling to hear in noise, you're needing things repeating, or you'll misinterpret, or you'll get the wrong end of the stick a lot of the time.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a doctor's surgery. Is it this street? The doctor's surgery. Is it down this street?
If the person next to you on the bus can hear your music, it's too loud. If you can't hear them asking you a question, it's too loud.
On average, people have been shown to wait up to 10 years from the point that they notice a hearing loss to the point that they actually do anything about it. So there's a long time that they've lived with that condition and lived with that complaint. There's a lot of evidence to show that intervening earlier in that tends to give you a better outcome.
If you are worried about your noise-induced hearing loss, why not have your hearing tested? Action on Hearing Loss have a free hearing check by calling 0844 800 3838. Another common issue that can arise from noise-induced hearing loss is tinnitus. Research has showed that 53% of people aged 18 to 24 have experienced tinnitus, and 40% of people were unaware that being exposed to loud noises can lead to permanent tinnitus. Tinnitus is a common hearing issue that can vary in severity and form, and it affects all age groups. 10% of the UK adult population experience tinnitus frequently, and around 5% find it affects their quality of life.
Tinnitus is basically an umbrella term for noises of the ears or in the head, and it can manifest as a different sound from person to person.
People quite often say it's a buzzing or a ringing noise in their ears. If you ask around, no one else will be able to hear it.
Tinnitus can be managed with hearing aids if there's a hearing loss, because amplifying external sounds can help put the tinnitus to the background, so they're actually hearing a lot clearer, which gives the sound a masking effect as such. We can also use techniques such as relaxation exercises, because stress levels are a massive influence on tinnitus for a lot of people. So it's advising people on how they can adjust their day, how they can adjust certain environments to help them with the tinnitus so they're not feeling on edge all the time. But there are other devices. We always encourage sound enrichment, so having a noise around to help mask that tinnitus is always helpful. But also we can use things such as a Tinnitus Masker, which looks very similar to a hearing aid device but plays a gentle white noise to help with the tinnitus as well. So all of those things we would generally incorporate into the management of tinnitus.
Action on Hearing Loss have a dedicated tinnitus helpline and information service. You can access this by the telephone number 0808 808 6666 or email tinnitushelpline@actiononhearingloss.org.uk. If your tinnitus is aggravating you, it's important that you see your GP or ask to be referred to the audiology department, as prolonging the time you go untreated for your tinnitus or hearing loss not only affects your quality of life for longer, but can lead to more serious issues such as dementia. According to an international study, it is estimated that there were 50 million people living with dementia worldwide in 2018, which is likely to increase to 152 million by 2050. Over the last few years, studies have shown growing evidence of a correlation with dementia and cognitive decline with hearing loss.
So you're 5 times more likely to get dementia or for it to progress faster if you have an unaddressed hearing loss.
But remember this?
No, did you tell me?
Yeah, don't worry about it, honestly.
More and more studies now are starting to discover that having a hearing loss, even if it is a just mild hearing loss, the risk of getting dementia or having a cognitive decline doubles, triples, quadruples depending on the level of hearing loss, and this is without hearing aids. So wearing a hearing aid and using a hearing aid reduces the strain on the brain, the cognitive load as it's called, and that in turn reduces your risk of the cognitive decline.
So for me, why wouldn't you try your hearing aids? You get so much benefit out of them because it's about communicating and about helping you to live those lives in a meaningful way with your family and friends. It just helps you get that quality of life back again and keep your cognitive mental ability going because we're made to communicate.
Although dementia is diagnosed later in life, changes in the brain usually start developing many years before, so early intervention is key to sustaining a healthy life in our old age. For further information about the links between hearing loss and dementia, go to Action on Hearing Loss's website at www.actiononhearingloss.org.uk. However, early intervention is also key when diagnosing children in our society to ensure proper brain development and combat social isolation. Diagnosing and treating a hearing loss among children as soon as possible is extremely important. When children live with an untreated temporary or permanent hearing loss for a long time, it may slow their cognitive growth, leading them to be held back in school or often branded as naughty or inattentive, when really they are simply unaware of what's going on.
Joseph, I need to have a word with you about this letter we've had from your teacher again.
Children are brilliant at just getting on, so they'll be watching the rest of the class and they'll be copying, but actually they've not really heard what they need to hear for themselves. We do have a hearing screening programme when children start school, just to make sure, just like they have their eyes checked, they have their ears checked. So I'd say if you're worried about a child or you're concerned that they might have a bit of a hearing problem, just get it checked out. So when a patient notices that they've got a hearing loss, their first step would probably be go to their GP and ask them for a referral to an audiology department. So the first appointment you would get with us would be what we call a direct referral appointment. So you would come in, we would do a history, we would do your hearing test, and we would discuss the management options with you. And that appointment takes between 45 minutes and an hour. If you needed a hearing aid, that would be discussed with you, and then we would put you through for a hearing aid fitting. Imagine a hearing loss means that the door to the brain is closed. Putting the hearing aids on means that door's open, the sound can get in and start programming that brain for language.
Evidence indicates that wearing hearing aids lessens the impact of hearing loss on psychological, social, and emotional functioning, so it's important that we ensure that our children are wearing hearing aids as soon as possible if they are needed. For addressing a hearing loss amongst children, visit the National Deaf Children's Society at www.ndcs.org.uk. How to talk to someone with a hearing loss. Make sure you have the listener's attention before you start speaking. Speak clearly but not too slowly, and don't exaggerate your lip movements. Use natural facial expressions and gestures. If you're talking to a hearing impaired and a hearing person, don't just focus on the hearing person. Don't shout. It's uncomfortable for a hearing aid user and it looks aggressive. If someone doesn't understand what you've said, don't just keep repeating it. Try saying it in a different way. Find a suitable place to talk, with good lighting, soft furnishings, and if possible, away from noise and distractions. Remember not to turn your face away from a hard of hearing person. Always turn back to your listener so they can see your face. Check that the person you're talking to can follow your conversation. Be patient and take the time to communicate properly. Use plain language and don't waffle. Avoid jargon and unfamiliar abbreviations. Remember, even if the person uses hearing aids, their ability to understand and process speech varies depending on hearing level, brain processing abilities, and whether there is background noise present. Hearing loss affects over 1 million people in the UK today, and it's estimated that by 2035 it will affect 1/5 of the UK population. It could affect you, someone that you know, or someone that you are caring for, but there are a wide range of services available that can help. Hearing loss is a serious issue that we cannot afford to ignore, so please ask your GP for further information or ask to be referred to the audiology department and help us wider treat hearing loss to those who need it.